Hello, my name is Emma and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in Newton Abbey, Belfast, Northern Ireland. Thank you so much for joining me today on Emma's Crafty Space. It seems kind of strange recording a Christmas project in August, but here we are. I actually did an event Christmas in July, so this was one of the projects that I made for it. So I kept the front of the card quite plain, and then in the inside I did a little Christmas theme, so it's like a little cute pop-up. So it is made with the Trees for Sale stamp set, and as you can see, you've got your two-step stamping, so that's obviously going to be stamped in a lighter colour with the darker version of that on the top. You've got a little stand here for your trees, you've got a cute little dog, little sign, and you've some nice greetings, and then this cute little string of light bulbs. Plus you've got poles as well to string your lights onto, and then a couple of nice sentiments. Then obviously with Sale-a-bration at the minute, you can then with a £90 spend get these dies for free. So these dies are quite extensive. You can see you get this cute little caravan. That's another project that we made at my event. So you can, it's a cute little table favor, and there are so many dies in this. I actually don't even know if I'm going to get around to using them all, but again, you've got like the base of the tree and then this nice leafy detail on there to go on the top, so you can see how I've done that there. Now I've just done on old olive, but you could go a bit darker again with that, maybe use mossy meadow or something with it. And then you've got your poles and your lights again. Now, one thing with the lights and the pole, I find it easier to die cut them first, and then using my Stamparatus, I lined up the stamp image, because you can see they are quite thin. So whenever you are stamping them, it's very hard to get, more so the dies for the lights I find harder to line up. So I just find it easier that whenever you die cut it, keep it in, put it in the whole template into the Stamparatus, line up your image, and then just stamp it up and down. And it means then if you're mass producing something, you've got that template already. Took me a while to figure out what this little one was, but it's actually a curtain for the inside of the caravan. And then again, these here are the bases of the trees, so you can see them there. And little wreath and bows as well. Again, there's a little cutout for your dog, and the cutout for the wee for sale sign, and some little stars. So there's lots of cute little things on there. Bunting, and this die here, just keep an eye out for this, because you're probably looking at that, but that die is one piece, but it cuts top and the bottom of the caravan. So just a little heads up about that one. Okay, so we'll make a start on this card. These wee cards, they always look harder than what they are. So as I say, we'll get this started. So this front, I am going to do Old Olive again. So I've got a piece of scrap paper because I want to stamp off and get a lighter version of my Old Olive. So I'm just going to do the trick. I'm just doing it the exact same design. Stamp on the scrap. There. And then I'm going to get this leafy detail, and I'm just going to go stamp straight over. Set those to the side. And just work down my sizes. Overlap them, it's entirely up to you, or you can stagger them a bit more. I'm also using my stamping mat, just with them being photopolymer, and there's a bit of bounce in my table, so I just want the image to be completely smooth and clear, so the mat helps with that. Just going to get soft suede now. Let's see what it's like. Ah, it's okay. I didn't want it being too dark. And then I'm going to get Memento, just to do my string of lights along the top there. reading I'm going to use is just the same one, Christmas Greetings. You see this has been well used with a red ink. So I'm just going to use Cherry Cobbler just to add a bit of colour. Then I'm going to colour in my string of lights. This is just Daffodil Delight. You could go multicoloured, it's up to you. And that is that finished. So what I need to do now is layer that up onto a piece of Old Olive. This piece is quite big, so I always do a couple of dimensionals in the middle just to kind of support it, and it means it just doesn't divot in. You could do it as a 5, it's entirely up to you, but I just want it to be fully supported. Just place it like that. I'm just going to give you the measurement for that. That die is out of Stitch So Sweetly, and I think it's the largest. It is, it's the largest of the scalloped rectangles. Okay, just in case you want that to know that. And then the Old Olive measures 4.5 by 3.5. If you just want to have that border around the outside. So we'll have a wee look at the inside of the card now. Clear up my desk here. So you can see I've got this nice piece of blue. It's actually soft sky because I just thought it was a really lovely blue, and it's actually one of my most favourite colours that Stampin' Up have retired. But you could use Pool Party, although it's slightly turquoise, or Balmy Blue. It's entirely up to you, or just go a completely different colour. Also, this embossing folder is new as well. This is it here, and it's called Whimsical Woodland, and you can see it really is pretty. I'll put that colour behind it, and you can maybe see all the different designs on it. So it really is a lovely embossing folder to add to your crafty stash. It is featured actually with this stamp set on page 39, and there's it there. You can see here where Stampin' Up have actually embossed it and then scuffed it with white craft ink. So it means the embossed image really pops out of the card. So a nice little addition if you like Christmassy backgrounds. So I'm going to show you first of all how I got my pop-up. Just want to take all that out. Okay, so whenever I cut this piece of card out, and I'll give you the measurements. So it is 5.5 wide by 7 3/8. Okay, and then it is scored at 3 5/8. Okay, so to get these little steps, so that this is to create this seam here. So if you look down on it, you can see where everything is attached, and I wanted different layers to it. So I wanted the caravan to sit at the back with the trees, and the little lights to be coming out at the front. So I'm going to show you how I did this. So I needed my scoreboard, and it wasn't to actually use it as a scorer. So I'm going to pop these out the original way. It was actually just to use for measuring. So I found the middle first. So the first line, so I just got a pencil, and the first line I drew at was 2 1/4 and then 3. And I actually used a ruler at this side, and I came in just an inch. Okay, so I drew a pencil line across there, and I drew lines from there to there, and it just meant then I knew on my trimmer how far I needed to cut in. So again, I went to 1 1/4 here. I drew a line across, and I went 1/2 inch in, and then an inch, and again drew pencil lines to here and to here. And then I moved up to this end, and again I went in 1/2 inch this side. So I marked there, and then I went to there, so it gave me a wee 1/2 inch divot. And you can just see my pencil lines on there before I embossed it. Okay, so it just meant then whenever I was going down my trimmer, I had all my lines drawn and I knew where to stop with my blade as I was cutting into it. So then, as I say, you can use whatever side you want. You can have the trees going in the way. I wanted them popping out. So then you just press these out, pull that over and give them all a good crease, and that is that done. I know it probably sounds very complex, but it's not, and once you've done it once or twice, it'll become very easy. I actually have another tutorial elsewhere, and it just has one pop out on it. It's the rainbow one. So if you need it explained a wee bit more, it might be easier just going back to that tutorial and just seeing it with one pop out. So I'm just going to attach this in here, and I find it easier to do one side at a time. Don't be just gluing the whole thing up and just going for it. Just be patient with it. Okay, so you don't need a lot of glue, especially if you're using multi-purpose glue, because once it's stuck, it's stuck. But you do get that nice little period where you can move it about the place. So if you can, fold it like that, and then take it in and line it up before you let it fall down onto the base. Okay. So you should have equal, come in equal parts on either side, and then push that up into the crease. So it's like that. Okay. And fold that down and then repeat. You might need a wee bit more glue in this just because it's so textured. Just be careful and make sure those little lines are creased in. You know, these little bits are creased in and they're not sitting there, because you don't want them to get covered in glue. And you're just going to bring the card down to meet that. And just press down gently. And just let that bond. So I'm just going to set that ruler on it just for a bit of weight. So while that's bonding, we can start decorating our little camper van. So just bring all my pieces in. Okay. So I have gone for Merry Merlot with this. Just putting little bits of glue on it. You do not need loads. You don't want your cardboard to be so saturated that it starts to completely distort and lose shape. And whenever you press that glue down, it all spreads out in underneath anyway. Now, whenever you're cutting out your caravan, it cuts the windows out. So say if you're I wanted to put just a little glow in there like that. But as you can see, there's nothing for it to stick to, because whenever I lift that, it falls through. So I kept these pieces. And it meant then that you have something to stick this to. And everything's not going to waste. Just stick that to that. Okay. And then a wee bit of glue here and at the bottom. Set it down and then just line that up again. Like that. And it means then you can't see. On the back it looks a bit messy, but no one's going to see the back because it's going to be against the back of the card. So little wreath again, very little glue, just wee touches of it here and there, and it's going to go around that door like that. Then my little bow. Is the caravan ready to do. Okay, so now I'm going to work on these. Now if you If you wanted to, you could get one of the wee silicone glue mats. I'm just happy enough doing wee dabs of glue here and there, but you could put this onto a silicone mat with a tiny bit of sponge and just sponge the glue onto it. I'm happy enough just going at it like this. Line them up. As I say, you could go over the top even with Mossy Meadow, maybe make that pop a wee bit more. And then attach the feet. You don't have to use the feet if you don't want to, if you find them too fussy. Okay, I'm just going to colour in my little light bulbs. Again, you can go multicolored with these. I think these ones I'm just going to keep as Daffodil Delight and just keep it the same as the front. Okay, so check this now so you can see that's all nicely stuck. So now it is just a matter of building up your scene. So I'm going to do a little line of glue along here. Now the card will not close flat because there's too much tension on it. So, but that's fine. You don't need it to close flat or open flat, sorry. It will close flat, but it won't open flat. Just going to hold this here a wee second. Okay, so you can see that is stuck now. So I'm just going to try and close it. Always like just do a wee check with it before it's completely stuck so that you know that it's not getting crushed or anything in there. Because it means then whenever you close it and the glue's still wet, it'll get pushed into place. Okay, so I'm going to put this tree here. A little bit of glue down here. You could use dimensionals, but personally I think it makes sense to have the card too like bulky. Just make sure whenever you're doing this as well, they're still within the side of the card. And I want to do the big one on its own, and then the two smaller ones over here on the right. And I always leave a couple of millimeters up from the bottom so the trees aren't getting caught along the bottom of that as well. Okay, you can hear that that's catching a wee bit. So now that I've done that, and while it's still being wet, it'll hopefully sort all that out and push it into place where it needs to be. Do that one a wee bit higher up, just to make it look like it's just at a different level. Again, close up and see, yep, make sure it's still within there. Again, just close that. Right. So whenever I was first designing this card, I basically just set those in and glued them. Couldn't figure out that whenever I closed this, was it sticking away up here. So now you have to trim about an inch off these. So I'm going to use my grid paper, and I think it's because obviously it steps in, you know, from the middle of the card. So then whenever you close it, that step pushes them up. So just because they do need to be trimmed down if you're making this card. And this bit can be quite fiddly because obviously the glue doesn't dry instantly. Which for some things it's good, but whenever you need an instant stick, it's not. So I'm going to stick that here, and then a little blob on this side. I'm using my grid paper to keep this lined up. So now you are going to place this down the sides of the trees. Now you might need a bit of wiggling. It doesn't actually matter, like, you know, if they get pushed in like that. I actually think it makes it look a bit more authentic. So really is up to you how you place these. And obviously, but that is stuck, but there's still a bit of wiggle in it. so don't be worrying about it. You will get there. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue down each side of these. I'm going to try and lay the card down flat like that, and then just push these down into it. Okay, and stick them to the back of the trees. Now, you will have to close the card over to make sure that they're not flying up over the top of the trees. But you can see it isn't. But you can see now that they're stuck to the back of those trees. If I hold that up like that, you can maybe see. Okay, so just let everything settle and dry. And if you've any loose glue about the place, try and get it off now. Okay, but that is basically our little scene. Now I kept this blank, but you could go on ahead and stamp a greeting, or you've got more space to write if you don't put a greeting on it. And then last but not least, we are going to put this on here. And that just finishes it off. Now, if you wanted a bit more detail on the front of this, you could go in with the new heated puff paint that there is in the catalogue and just tip the trees with that. But I'm just going to leave mine plain. I think there's enough going on in the inside without adding more to the outside. But hopefully I have explained this okay. As I say, the mechanism in the inside can be a wee bit tricky, especially because there's 3 of them going on here, and they're at different depths. So if you want to go on and check out my tutorial with the rainbow, it might explain it a little bit better. But hopefully I've done enough to talk you through this, and hopefully you've enjoyed the tutorial. I'll leave a wee list of all the things that I've used in the description below, and a link to my online shop if you need any of the supplies. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you enjoy the project and you have fun making your own. Take care. Bye bye.